What if I told you that your soulmate recently discovered something about your past that completely stopped them in their tracks? Not because it was shocking in the traditional sense, but because it made them realize how much they never truly understood before. Sometimes a single truth can change the entire way we see a person. Sometimes one missing piece of information can transform years of assumptions into a completely different story. And that is exactly what is happening right now. Your soulmate has spent a long time viewing certain parts of this connection through a particular lens. They believed they understood why certain things happened. They believed they understood some of your choices, your reactions, and even some of the distance that may have existed between you. But recently something shifted, whether through reflection, intuition, a conversation, or a realization that arrived unexpectedly. They became aware of something connected to your past that they had never fully considered before. At first, they didn't think much of it. They assumed it was simply another piece of information. But the more they sat with it, the more powerful it became. Suddenly, situations they once viewed one way began looking completely different. Memories started returning to them. Certain moments that never made sense before started connecting together. Questions they didn't even realize they had were slowly being answered. And listen to this. What affected them most was not the information itself. It was the understanding that came with it. For the first time, they began seeing that there may have been struggles, experiences, emotions, or circumstances beneath the surface that they never truly recognized. Things they once judged quickly now seemed far more complex. Things they once misunderstood now seemed easier to understand. And your heart needs this right now, because there are moments when someone's perspective changes forever. Your soulmate is standing in one of those moments. The truth they recently learned is opening a door to a deeper understanding of who you are, where you've been, and what you've carried. And as that door continues opening, they are beginning to realize that the story they thought they knew about your past was only a small part of a much larger picture. And listen to this. The more your soulmate reflected on what they recently learned, the more they realized that the truth was affecting them in ways they never expected. At first, they thought it was simply new information. They thought it was something they would think about for a few moments and then move on from. But instead of fading away, it stayed with them. It followed them into quiet moments. It resurfaced when they least expected it. And every time they revisited it, their understanding of you seemed to grow deeper. What makes this realization so powerful is that it has caused them to look back at the past with completely different eyes. Certain memories that once seemed straightforward no longer feel that way. Certain situations they thought they understood now appear much more complex. The more they reflect, the more they recognize that there may have been challenges, emotions, and experiences shaping your journey that they never fully appreciated before. Suddenly, events that once felt confusing are beginning to make sense, and your heart needs this right now, because sometimes understanding arrives long after the moment itself has passed. Your soulmate is experiencing that kind of understanding. They are beginning to realize that every person carries a story beneath the surface, a story that others cannot always see. A story filled with experiences that influence decisions, reactions, fears, and strengths. What they recently discovered has given them a glimpse into parts of that story they had never truly considered before. As they continue reflecting, they find themselves revisiting moments that once left them with unanswered questions. Moments when they wondered why certain things happened the way they did. Moments when they wished they had understood more. Moments when they may have formed conclusions without having all the facts. Now, with this new perspective, those same moments look entirely different. The missing pieces are slowly falling into place, and listen carefully. One of the biggest shifts happening within your soulmate is the growth of empathy. Before, they may have focused only on what they could see. They may have interpreted situations based on limited information. But now they are beginning to understand that there was much more happening beneath the surface than they ever realized. They are recognizing that some struggles cannot be seen. Some battles are fought quietly. Some burdens are carried without anyone else fully understanding their weight. This realization has humbled them. It has made them pause and reconsider things they once took for granted. Instead of asking why certain things happened, they are beginning to ask what circumstances may have contributed to those experiences. Instead of focusing on outcomes, they are focusing on understanding. And that shift is changing everything. And your heart needs this right now, because true understanding often begins when assumptions end. Your soulmate is letting go of old assumptions. They are allowing themselves to see the bigger picture. They are allowing themselves to acknowledge that there may have been reasons behind certain events that they never recognized before. This process is opening their heart in ways they did not expect. What surprises them most is how emotional this realization feels. They never expected a new understanding of your past to affect them so deeply. Yet the more they learn, the more connected they feel to your journey. They find themselves appreciating strengths they overlooked. They find themselves recognizing resilience they never fully acknowledged. They find themselves understanding that some of the things you carried required far more courage than they initially realized. And listen to this. The truth they discovered is not simply changing how they view the past. It is changing how they view you. Every new reflection reveals another layer. Every new realization deepens their respect. Every new understanding challenges old perspectives. They are beginning to see that the person they thought they knew may have been carrying a depth of experience they never fully understood. Now, your soulmate stands in a place of growing awareness. The questions are becoming clearer. The pieces are fitting together. The assumptions are fading. And with every passing day, they are realizing that the truth they recently learned was not just another piece of information. It was a key that is unlocking a much deeper understanding of your story, your journey, and the connection itself. And the more that understanding grows, the more it is transforming everything they once believed about the past. And listen to this. There comes a moment when new information stops being just information and starts becoming a revelation. Your soulmate has reached that moment. What they recently learned about your past is no longer something they are simply thinking about. It has become something that is actively changing the way they understand everything that happened between you. The more they reflect on it, the more they realize that many of the conclusions they once reached were based on an incomplete picture. And now that a missing piece has finally appeared, the entire image looks different. For a long time, your soulmate believed they understood the story. They believed they understood the reasons behind certain events. They believed they understood why certain situations unfolded the way they did. But now, they are beginning to see that what they thought was the full story was actually only one chapter. There were details they never knew, context they never had, experiences they never fully understood. And because of that, some of the assumptions they carried for so long are beginning to fall away. What surprises them most is how quickly this realization is changing their perspective. They find themselves revisiting old memories and seeing them through a completely different lens. Moments that once seemed confusing suddenly make sense. Reactions that once appeared difficult to understand now feel understandable. Decisions that once raised questions now reveal a deeper meaning. It is almost as if they have been handed a key that unlocks doors they never knew existed, and your heart needs this right now because sometimes the truth does not change the past. It changes our understanding of the past. Your soulmate is discovering that distinction. The events themselves remain the same. The memories remain the same. But the meaning attached to those memories is evolving. What once felt frustrating now feels understandable. What once felt distant now feels personal. What once felt unresolved now feels much closer to clarity. And listen carefully. One of the biggest realizations they are having is that many things they interpreted on the surface level were connected to deeper experiences they never saw. They are beginning to understand that people often carry invisible chapters within them. Chapters filled with lessons, challenges, disappointments, fears, and victories that others may never fully witness. What they recently learned has shown them that your journey contains layers they had not previously recognized. As this understanding grows, something remarkable is happening. Your soulmate is becoming less focused on judgments and more focused on compassion. Instead of asking why certain things happened, they are asking what experiences may have shaped those moments. Instead of focusing on outcomes alone, they are beginning to appreciate the circumstances behind those outcomes. This shift may seem small, but emotionally it changes everything. The more they connect the dots, the more they realize that many misunderstandings may have been rooted in a lack of information rather than a lack of care. That realization is powerful because it transforms confusion into understanding. It transforms assumptions into awareness. It transforms distance into empathy. And once that transformation begins, it becomes difficult to see things the old way again. And your heart needs this right now, because growth often begins when we realize there is more to someone's story than we originally believed. Your soulmate is experiencing that growth. Every reflection is revealing something new. Every memory is taking on a different meaning. Every realization is bringing them closer to understanding not only your past, but also the emotional strength it may have taken to move through it. And listen to this. The truth they learned has not made them think less of you. It has done the exact opposite. It has made them appreciate things they once overlooked. It has made them recognize strengths they never fully acknowledged. It has shown them that some of the qualities they admire today may have been forged through experiences they never truly understood before. This realization is creating a profound shift inside them. Now your soulmate finds themselves standing at a crossroads between the old perspective and the new one. The old perspective was built on assumptions. The new perspective is being built on understanding. And as they continue moving toward that understanding, they are realizing that the truth they recently learned has changed far more than a few opinions. It has changed the entire way they view your journey, your resilience, and the connection itself. And that transformation is only becoming stronger with every passing day. And listen to this. As your soulmate continued reflecting on everything they recently learned, they began noticing a change that was impossible to ignore. The truth about your past was no longer simply helping them understand certain events. It was changing the way they viewed you as a person. Every new realization seemed to reveal a strength they had never fully appreciated before. Every piece of understanding seemed to uncover a level of resilience they had overlooked. And the more they thought about it, the more respect they felt growing inside their heart. What affected them most was realizing how much of your journey may have happened quietly. So many people only see the visible chapters of someone's life. They see the decisions. They see the outcomes. They see the surface. But they rarely see the sacrifices, the lessons, the struggles, and the growth that happened behind the scenes. Your soulmate is beginning to recognize that there was much more happening beneath the surface than they ever understood. That realization has humbled them in a profound way, and your heart needs this right now because true respect is born from understanding. It is easy to admire someone when we only see their successes. It is much deeper when we understand what they had to overcome to become who they are. Your soulmate is beginning to see that side of your story. They are beginning to recognize that some of the qualities they admire most may have been shaped through experiences that required courage, patience, and strength. Experiences they never fully appreciated until now. As they reflect on everything, they find themselves looking at certain memories differently once again. But this time, the focus is not on confusion or unanswered questions. The focus is on appreciation. They are appreciating things they once overlooked. They are recognizing moments that revealed your character in ways they did not fully understand at the time. Small actions now seem significant. Certain choices now seem much more meaningful. Even things that once appeared ordinary now carry a deeper significance, and listen carefully. One of the biggest shifts happening within them is that they are no longer viewing your past as a collection of events. They are viewing it as a journey that shaped your perspective, a journey that influenced your growth, a journey that required strength during moments when giving up may have felt easier. The more they understand that journey, the more admiration they feel. Not because they think you are perfect, but because they are beginning to appreciate the depth of what you have experienced. This realization is creating an emotional transformation they never expected. For a long time, they may have focused on isolated moments without understanding the bigger picture. Now they are seeing that bigger picture. They are seeing how experiences connect together. They are seeing how challenges create wisdom. They are seeing how difficult seasons can shape a person's heart in ways that are invisible to everyone else. And through that understanding, they are developing a deeper level of respect than they have ever felt before. And your heart needs this right now, because being truly understood is one of the most meaningful experiences a person can have. Your soulmate is moving closer to that understanding. They are no longer looking at your story from a distance. They are allowing themselves to step into it emotionally. They are allowing themselves to imagine what certain experiences may have felt like. They are allowing themselves to appreciate strengths they never fully recognized before. And listen to this. The truth they recently learned has become much more than a discovery. It has become a lens through which they now view the connection itself. Every realization is making them more aware of your resilience. Every reflection is increasing their appreciation. Every new understanding is strengthening the respect they feel inside. What began as curiosity has become admiration. What began as a simple realization has become a profound emotional shift. Now your soulmate stands in a place they never expected to reach. A place where assumptions have been replaced by understanding. A place where questions have been replaced by appreciation. A place where they can finally see not just what happened in your past, but the strength it took for you to move through it. And as this understanding continues growing, they are beginning to realize that they can no longer view you or this connection in the same way they once did. Because once someone truly sees the depth of another person's journey, everything changes. And listen to this. The most important part of this journey is not the truth your soulmate recently discovered. The most important part is what that truth has awakened inside them. Because once a person's perspective changes, they can never return to seeing things the way they did before. The understanding they have gained about your past is now influencing the way they view the connection, the way they view your journey, and even the way they view their own role within the story. What once seemed simple now feels layered. What once seemed obvious now feels much deeper, and what once seemed settled now feels worthy of a second look. For a long time, your soulmate viewed certain memories through the lens of limited understanding. Like anyone else, they filled in missing pieces with assumptions. They interpreted situations based on what they knew at the time. But now that new understanding has entered the picture, those old interpretations no longer feel complete. They are beginning to realize that there was always more beneath the surface. There were experiences influencing your choices, shaping your perspective, and affecting your journey in ways they never fully recognized. And your heart needs this right now, because understanding creates connection. The more your soulmate learns, the more they feel connected not only to your story, but also to the person behind that story. They are beginning to appreciate things they once overlooked. They are beginning to recognize strengths they once underestimated. Most importantly, they are beginning to understand that some of the qualities they admire most today may have been developed through challenges they never truly understood before. This realization has changed the emotional weight of the connection itself. The connection is no longer viewed through old assumptions. It is being viewed through awareness, through compassion, through a deeper appreciation for everything that contributed to making you who you are. As that awareness grows, they find themselves thinking differently about the past. Situations that once seemed difficult now seem understandable. Moments that once felt confusing now feel clear. The truth they learned has become a bridge between misunderstanding and understanding. And listen carefully. One of the biggest transformations happening within your soulmate is the disappearance of certainty. Not certainty about their feelings, but certainty about the judgments they once carried. They are realizing that life is far more complex than it appears on the surface. They are realizing that every person carries unseen chapters. Every person fights private battles. Every person has experiences that shape them in ways others may never fully understand. This realization has made them more open-hearted than before. The more they reflect, the more they realize that the truth they discovered did not simply change how they view your past. It changed how they view your future as well. They now see possibilities where they once saw limitations. They now see depth where they once saw uncertainty. They now see a story that deserves to be understood rather than judged. That shift is powerful because it changes the emotional foundation upon which everything else is built. And your heart needs this right now because perspective is one of the most powerful forces in any connection. When perspective changes, emotions change. When emotions change, understanding grows. When understanding grows, possibilities expand. Your soulmate is experiencing all three of those transformations at once. The truth they learned has opened their eyes to something important. It has shown them that there is far more to your journey than they ever realized, and that realization has created a level of appreciation that continues deepening with every reflection. And listen to this. The story is no longer about what they recently discovered. The story is about who they have become because of that discovery. They have become more understanding, more compassionate, more aware, more willing to look beyond appearances and seek deeper truths. That transformation is changing everything. It is changing how they remember the past. It is changing how they understand the present. And it is changing how they imagine the future. Now your soulmate stands in a completely different place than where they started. The assumptions are fading. The misunderstandings are dissolving. The respect is growing. The appreciation is deepening. And because of one important truth about your past, they can no longer see this connection the way they once did. They now see it with greater clarity, greater empathy, and greater emotional awareness. And as this new perspective continues unfolding, they are realizing that understanding your story has helped them understand something equally important, the true depth and significance of the connection they share with you.